All right, guys. Welcome to the third masterclass of 2021. And this is the game changers from 2021. The first class we did was on Zoom. Now, if ever there was a better example of Zoom and what an effective tool it is, we have an ice storm here in town. It shut down everything, but it shut down nothing. Everybody's working, everybody's doing their job, nothing stopped, nothing slowed down. No seminars were canceled. Everything goes, even schools. People are now resilient. They're home, they're working, they're going to school from their house. So if there's ever a better example of how powerful Zoom is, this is it. So the second class we had last week was on pricing. Now, I've often, Donnie says, well, you can't, teach that because it's too complicated and a lot. And we tried to simplify it and bring it down. And I think a lot of people got it and understand it. It's very simple. We just got down to selecting the proper comparables and then just comparing price per square foot and percentage of assessment. So it was pretty simple. And I showed you how to format. I'm going to take it to the next step on class 3. Class 3 is preparing the home. Now, this was a weakness for me for quite a while. And I'll tell you why. Preparing the home, I'm 63 now. When I'm in my 50s, it looks fine. It looks good to me. Billy, what the hell are you eating, man? So we can see that. Block yourself out, will you?
Peanuts. That's why I was turned off before.
All right, well, turn your picture off. Eat your peanuts.
Right.
So anyways, the weakness for me was when I went into houses, a couple things. One, it looked fine to me because I was in my 50s and in my 60s, and it's fine. But the buyers aren't in their 50s and 60s. The buyers aren't looking for that look. They're looking for a new, clean, more updated, more transitional look. And so when Kelly came to work with me, I walked out of a house, I'll never forget. I said, oh, that looked fine. She said, are you kidding me? There is no way we're not painting that house. And I went, what are you talking about? She said, well, I'll never forget. She goes, the room was purple. I mean, they had a room on the main level that was purple. So she said, we're painting the whole thing. I'm bringing the painters in. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then Morgan came to work with us. And that conversation that all of us have to have with our sellers of, the home is dated. How are you going to tell them those very expensive curtains need to come down? How are you going to tell them that, this has got to change or that's got to change or the paint is ugly or da-da-da-da-da? Well, there is a salesmanship technique. It's called framing the issue. Frame the issue. What is the issue? Well, if the issue is price, frame it. That pricing model that you've seen is so well framed that there's no way out. The only conclusion can be the price that we've determined. There is no way out. I framed it so perfectly that that's it. I mean, there's no way of really disputing the numbers. So now we need to frame preparing the home. And how do we frame preparing the home? Well, Morgan came up with it one time. Morgan came in and she was working at another profession, and I was begging her to come work with us. I knew she could make more money. I knew she'd be great at this job. So she did. And it took her a little while, but she finally got her arms around it. And she said, she framed the issue that we'd walk into when we see homes. The issue is your home is dated. It's not dated. It's traditional. This is a traditional look. And we started working, the conversation with the seller was, sellers have traditional homes, buyers buy transitional homes. So now it went from, oh, your home is ugly and dated, I got to do some new things to make it look good, to the framed issue is this traditional or is this transitional? If it's traditional, we have to fix it. And the more Morgan got involved and Billy got involved and Kelly got involved and Colby got involved and, the younger agents came in, they're setting these houses up the way they want them. And all of a sudden, days on market comes down, prices go up. We start having these incredible stories about, homes selling for $100,000 more than, or $50,000, $70,000 more than appraised value. And it all has to do with the second phase of this, which is preparing the home. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, why is it so important? Why is it so important? Billy and I are football coaches, and the number one thing that Pops Barry taught us was you've got to hate to lose more than you love to win. Okay, you need to hate to lose. I hate rejection. I don't want rejection. I never get rejection. I don't want to see rejection. Okay, so I do everything in my power to make sure that the deck is stacked in our favor so substantially that we get a lot of yeses, and we win. Not just win the listing presentation, but when your house sells over market, 7 contracts, and you do this consistently, each one of those is a win, 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 win. If Billy and I hold a house for 150 days, that's a lose, 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 lose. We hate losing. We learn from losing. We never want to lose again. Once that happens, we do everything in our power that that never happens again. So in 35 years of coaching, we lost 16 games, and the only thing I've ever learned was from those 16 games. So let's take a look. We frame the issue, okay, for preparing the home. So let's go to where we ended last week, and let's pick up from there. All right. So let me get over to this, and let's frame this, and let's go. All right. Can everybody see preparing the home for market?
Yes.
You got it. Okay. All right, here we go. So the first thing we're going to do in preparing the home is go back to our pricing model.
Casey.
Okay. Say again, Bill.
Casey, can you go full screen so we're not seeing all of the? It might be easier for us to see.
I think I was full screen.
Just in about a quarter on the left. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that looks better.
Okay, good. All right. So we know we've done the pricing model, and now we've framed the issue of the price. So we pretty much know that the price per square foot is this, the value of the assessment times the assessed value is that. So we're pretty clear that we're not going anywhere with this price. Now we come down to the next level. The next level, which is what we're going to talk about today. There's a customary value for a house. Okay. And if the house is dated, okay, the house is dated, you're going down the pricing model. You're going down the level. All right. If you're updated, so let's call this traditional and let's call this transitional. So you can see there's a, there's a $60,000 swing between dated and updated. So all we're going to do with the seller, and Pam and I just got off the phone with the seller, just got off a Zoom call with the seller, and the home had been updated. He had a lot of stuff, but the paint was dated and it just did not look good. And there were some places where you could tell a professional hadn't done it. So I told the seller we need to think about painting the house. He said, I just painted this house. Just painted it. Okay. So now we come into a crossroads. Let's call it a crossroads. We all have this. We go to sellers. We know what needs to be done. Now, how are we going to get them to do it? Okay. Well, the word current colors is extremely important. You did paint the house, but it's not painted in current colors. Those are still dated colors. And what I explained to all sellers is you are in your 50s, 60s, or 70s. The buyers are in their 20s and 30s. So what we want is not what they want. So if you choose the paint, it may not be what a 20-something or 30-something would want to paint. I can tell you that we choose what the 30-somethings want. We choose the most popular one. We'll go with Revere Pewter or Edgecomb or Classic Gray, or if we want to bring some accent walls in or accent rooms in, then we'll do Oyster Bay or Pearl. But Here's a situation where I've got a seller that just painted the house. And I got to tell him to paint the whole dang thing over without hurting his feelings. And Pam started laughing. She goes, "That was awesome." Whatever his name was, Bruce. That was awesome, Bruce. You laid down the base coat. So now we don't have to lay down any primer. You lay down the base coat. We'll bring our painters in to finish it off. So it was not a consideration of that seller to do any painting prior to that house, but that is a dated color. So let's look at what takes us up and down the scale, because in preparing a home, this is your conversation. This is your issue. All right. So how do we get from a 650 to a 718? Well, there's 3 levels. The first one is cosmetic improvements. And again, framing the issue, cosmetic improvements return $7 to every $1 you invest. If you invest $3,000, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get $15,000 to $20,000 back. Hardware. If you walk into a house, doorknobs are brass, that is not a 2020 look. In some levels, a brushed nickel is the updated look. In other homes, you got to go to black, or if they're big enough, you got to go to oil rub bronze. But you can't sell a house in 2020 for a top dollar when you have 1995 hardware on the doors. So paint is number one, no doubt about it. Hardware is a hard number 2. We do look at hardware quite a bit. Lighting fixtures. I'm going to show you some example of this here in a second. Lighting fixtures, basically in the dining room, the breakfast area, and the hall lights, whether it's in the hallway on the main level or the hallway upstairs, will have those brass lights that hang down. And those were also vintage 1985 to 1995. So, we're going to talk about lighting fixtures. We're going to talk about hardware. We're going to talk about paint. The clutter obviously is an important thing. Declutter the house. This house we were talking about today was only 1,900 square feet. So big pieces had to go. All right. The last thing is landscaping. If a person walks up to your house, they're going to buy the house within the first 18 seconds. So one of the main introductions to the house is, what does the front of the house look like? Have you cut out your beds? Are they freshly mulched? Do we have fresh, normal plants in here? Are they overgrown? Billy and I walked into a house and we couldn't get to the house. We couldn't get to the house because there's massive water puddles that build up, Billy, over on
Dumfries.
Yeah, Dumfries. So we had to bring some irrigation people in and reroute that water out of there, because what happens if you have an open house on a Saturday or a Sunday and everybody comes in and it rains and you got a massive puddle, or they're trying to show the house. As a family, you go through the garage for the last 20 years. You can't do that when you're selling a house.
Also,
say again?
Also, it's a home inspection item. I mean, we're going to have to fix it anyways when the inspector comes through. So it's better to fix it beforehand and it not be an obstacle to overcome, and fix it correctly before you get dinged for it twice, whenever everyone sees it as a problem, and then you're going to get dinged for it anyways at the inspection.
Right. So cosmetic items and home inspection items that are glaring home inspection items. If a seam on a window is popped, it's got to be fixed. You just got to go through. You got to know that the seam is popped, and you got to get that fixed. You might as well get it fixed before you list the house. But let's stay on this chart here real quick. So landscaping, and I think that also includes hardscaping, where you need to power wash everything. So if you were going to sell your car, you take it to the car wash. If you're going to sell your house, take it to the car wash. That means a power wash. So that those line items are basically what we deal with. We don't deal with brand new kitchens, brand new baths, exterior entertainment like pools and decks and all that stuff. We don't deal with ripping out the windows and putting in new windows, and we don't take off roofs and put on new roofs. Now, why? Because that first list, we get 7 times our investment. The second list of new kitchens and new bathrooms, you only get 50% of your investment back. So you're not going to get it all back. All right. There are exceptions, and I'll tell you what those are real quick. If you go into a bathroom and a bathroom is so unserviceable, so dated, so ugly, so nasty, you can't sell the house with that bathroom, you have to redo the bathroom. You just got to call in the contracts, do the bathroom. If the kitchen is that bad, you want to do as many cosmetic items as you can without going too far. That includes, I gotta turn this thing off. You want to paint cabinets or stuff like that, but we don't get too much involved with the kitchen except for swapping out hardware. We don't put on countertops. Rarely do we put on countertops. Rarely do we paint cabinets. You know, a kitchen is a kitchen and the bath's are the bath. That is what moves you up and down the scale. But again, we don't want to invest any money that's only going to return half of the investment. Okay. So the last one are things we can't fix. They are what they are, and they're going to move us up and down whether we like it or not. Traffic. If you have a double yellow line in front of your house, if you have a double yellow line behind your house, if you have, traffic somewhere affecting you, all the walls are down on Route 66. Anything close to Route 66 is currently affected by that traffic until they get those privacy walls back up. So nothing we can do about that. A $1.4 million home in a neighborhood that has not transitioned into $1.4 million homes, there's nothing we can do about that. Your schools are important. Vienna Elementary may be worth X amount of dollars, and Marshall Road may be worth Y amount of dollars. So as you see, when I'm doing this pricing model up here, I'm trying to stay within that school district. We can't fix the commute. It is what it is, and the transportation issues. So whatever's on the bottom, those are issues that are going to move you up and down the scale, and there's nothing we can do about it. The ones in the middle, they're going to move you up and down the scale, and there's really nothing we're going to do about it. We could, but we're not, except in a rare case. The top level is where we want to consider and think about what we're doing. So if you do have a pen and paper, or if you are taking notes, here's one thing you want to remember: that a good presentation is nothing more than starting a collaborative conversation. Now we're working together. We want to work together. Anytime I'm done with the pricing, we want to have a collaborative conversation. Is this the price you thought it was? Do you have any other comps? Did agents tell you something else? Were you anticipating another number? Do you understand exactly how I got to that number? A collaborative conversation is the seller and us are arriving at what the price should be. When I think we're all comfortable, we'll move on to the next phase, which is customary, dated, and modern, and or as is. So this is starting a collaborative conversation over what can we do to get this house done. Okay. Now, I will be honest with you. In my earlier ages or earlier, I just didn't want to hassle with it. I really didn't, until Kelly came along and Morgan came along and Colby came along and Billy came along, and we're like, nope, we're definitely doing it. And then we really found that by doing this, that was the secret sauce. That did mean that instead of 4 people wanting to buy it, or 2 people wanting to buy it, or no people wanting to buy it, you had 8, 9, 10. That was the secret sauce. The secret sauce is getting the house prepared for sale. Okay. All right. So again, good conversation, a good presentation starts a collaborative conversation. And that's these are the questions that I want to ask when I'm done talking about the pricing. Now we're going right into the pictures. Okay. This house was worth 1.125. As it sits, it was worth 1.125. Morgan and Colby came in, totally nuked it. And there you go. Now, here's another thing you can write down. Words tell, pictures sell. Pictures sell. That picture is worth $1 million if it follows that picture. Because the seller sees, this seller doesn't see that this is a dated house because they've lived in it. They've been in it for 20 years. They don't get it. They get that. They could see the lighting fixture. All this is paint, lighting fixture, and carpet. That's all that's changed in this room, and declutter and pulling things off the walls that weren't really needed. And, if you look at it on this lower right-hand area over here, all that's pulled out. Well, that's a fixture in the house. Yeah, I know. It's really an eyesore. Take it all out. There's no need for, I think it had DVDs or something like that. There is no need for DVD holders. And and basically, as we're walking around and looking at this, we have their neighbors' pictures. We have um, pictures of other houses that have sold. This is what they look like. So, what that is social proof. It's social proof to a seller that this is what they're all looking like. So when you walk in the door, his mindset is, or her mindset is, there's no way we're paying this damn house. We walk out, we're paying that damn house. Okay. So it is the conversation, the framing of the issue, the framing of the conversation that you have to have with these sellers, and the pictures you show them that can help guide them to what they really need to do. And the final thing is the social proof that that's what your competition looks like. Okay. Now, the next thing we need to do is give them a nice, easy off ramp. Okay. We need to, you know, they're thinking this is going to be a terrible pain in the tail. This is going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort. And oh my God, why? Because they don't do it every day. We do it every day. So we have painters, we have contractors, we have electricians, we have everybody. We have everyone you need. Don't worry about it. All you got to do is say go. We'll be in there. We're going to come and have a checklist with our painter. He'll come in, he'll knock it out, and it's over. Easy as can be. You don't want to do it, but I'm going to tell you who else doesn't want to do it. 90% of the buyers have no vision. No vision. And they will totally, as they're looking at your house online, if it's dated, they'll keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Find that beautiful house like this. This is what they're looking for. This drags them all in. So the emotion is what you got to get down to. And the emotion is, I don't want to do the work. Well, neither do 90% of the buyers. But the off ramp is, we can make it nice and easy for you. Now, where else can you spend $3,500 and get back 20 grand? You can't do that anywhere. You can't even do that in Vegas. There's no guarantees. Maybe betting on Tampa Bay. Maybe that was the lock of the year. I don't know. I missed it. I don't know. But I can tell you what, there's nowhere where you can bet $3,000, $3,500 and guarantee you get back 20 grand. There is with paint. Okay. So our job as professionals is not to worry whether we get the listing or not, is to tell them the truth, and the truth will always set you free. So again, I'm telling everybody that preparing the home, you go from needs to sell in the first week, 10 days, needs to be priced correctly. Here's the price it's got to be. It needs to be prepared just right. How we're going to prepare this house for the public, and how are we going to get people to go from a traditional look to a transitional look. It was very difficult. I'm going to be honest with you. It was very difficult until Morgan said those words, and all of a sudden the light went off. And again, I'm going to tell everybody, it doesn't matter how old you are, how smart you think you are. It's what you learn after you know it all. And as soon as she said that, a light went off and went, oh God, you're right. That's the framing. So $40,000 worth of drapes on the windows, traditional. Before it was like, well, I don't know. I think you got to take them down. They're $40,000. You know what those things cost me? Mm-hmm. That's a traditional look. We want to get away from the traditional. We want to get to a transitional as much as we possibly can. Taking curtains down, even taking them with you, folding them up and putting them away somewhere, doesn't cost anything, but it will improve the visual that you have on this house. Now, are there exceptions to that? Of course there are. We did go into a house on Heathland. We did leave those big, beautiful drapes up. We did, so there are cases when we do this. But how many times have you walked in and there's a valance over the window in the kitchen? They don't use valances on the window over the kitchen. So that's got to go. So all valances over, that frame the top, they all have to go. It's better not to have anything. Any shears on a house, they all have to go. So pulling off the curtains is a big deal. Opening up, there's again another thing you can write down is, light is our friend and dark is our enemy. So anytime you see dark, you need to either bring in artificial light, light colored paint, or something. You need to bring in some light. So you need a canister. Then put a canister up. You walk upstairs and you see the brass things hanging down. Well, we're going to put 2 canisters up. I'm telling you, it's cost $250 a canister, but this looks like 1985. So when we talk to the sellers about walking through the house, and again, we don't want to bash sellers. We don't want to make them think that their home is bad. We love their home. We're going to make it look like a transitional home, and we can do it very simply, very, very easily. Okay. And so let's talk about somebody that has a dated kitchen and dated bathrooms. Here's my conversation about that. You know, some people put in $150,000 into their kitchens and bathrooms, and they'll never get that back. They might get back 60, but they're not getting it back. So isn't it great that you didn't put $150,000 in your kitchen and bathroom? So I don't want you to feel bad about that, but we're gonna have to price it as a dated house. So you may get 50,000 less than your neighbor that put 150,000 into it, but that's a net win of $100,000 for you. He spent 150 to make 50. We're not going to get that 50. So we're not going to ask for it. But there's a bigger buyer pool where we are than where he was, okay? Or they were. So don't make them feel bad about having a dated kitchen or a dated bathroom. Just say that, look, if you had spent this ton of money on it, you never would have got that back anyway. So let's just forget about that. But we're not going to be priced. Again, if we go back, there's a dated price. There's a dated value for the house. And there's an updated value. It's just we're going to swing down here, and we're not going to do any of this to improve it. We're not going to do it because we'll never get that money back. So, you know, some people say, I say, well, look, the reason houses don't sell, it's 100% price. Well, what are you talking about? Sometimes the house is just in bad shape. Fine. Then price it accordingly, either as is or dated. It has a price. Just haven't found it yet. Okay. You need to price according to the condition, right? So if everything was priced according to condition, it would sell. Trust me, if this house needed work, 601, it'd sell to 10 people. Okay. So it needs to be priced accordingly. What we're trying to do with this is frame the issue about where does your house stand in this price range, and how could we go from dated to updated quickly and effectively and for as little money as humanly possible. Billy, what do you think? What would you say? I don't know who else is on here. You're the only one I could see. What do you think we would spend average on a house to fix it up?
On our homes that are, you know, $1 million to 1.2, we spend probably between 10 and 15,000. And that's with paint, hardware, light fixtures. If we need to redo floors, it's $3 or $4 a square foot to refinish a hardwood. It's $5 to $6 a square foot to put in the LVT that we put in. So it depends on the home, but I mean, we have not had one situation where we put in 15,000 and it didn't return 75,000.
Yeah.
So we've been.
I think it's safe to say that there is not even close. We're not even, oh, we double our money. We're not even in that. I mean, we literally are jumping up. Well, perfect example. I showed this to a client, and the customary value is 1.375, and they went on 1.45, which was the updated value. I said, fine, get all those curtains, you know, get all the window treatments down, change the lighting fixtures, change the plumbing fixtures, get the paint in here, lighten this house up. And we did it. And we got first weekend, we got 1.45 million. And I think her investment was $11,000, and she went up, whatever that was, 75 grand. So there's 7 times your money. So every time we do it, it comes out to be probably 7 times your money.
Yeah, and
so,
on the smaller homes, you know, on the 700s, the 6, 7, 800s in Franklin Farm and Virginia Run and Sully Station, you know, we can spend 5,000 or between 5 and 10, and it returns, you know, 50 to 60. I know my dad had a property where he put some money in, and it just absolutely skyrocketed past every comp and every appraisal value that we thought that it would go for. And it's taking it from the dated or the customary number to a updated to modern number, like you were saying, as effectively and efficiently as possible. And that's what we're here for, is to be the expert. You know, they're asking our expert opinion on how to make them money, how to sell their home quickest, and for the top number. So all of us need to know, you know, what the right paint colors are.
Well,
We need to have.
how to get it through to them. I mean, we walked into one house, which was a great house in Virginia Run, and it's a very nice house, and you can see outside was gorgeous. It's just perfect. And then we walked in, and there was wallpaper in the dining room, wallpaper in the hallway and the foyer, and all going up, and wallpaper in the living room. And we said, well, it's all, you know, all of the wallpaper. And I do not think we spent $3,000.
Yeah.
I believe they taped and painted over the wallpaper, painted the whole thing, and they got what was that one? I think they got like 30,000 or 40,000 over. Well, first of all, they're all getting 30 to 40,000 over list price. I don't think we put anything on that hasn't got 30 or 40,000 dollars, if not $50,000. That might have been the one we put on, Billy, for $750, and it went for $800. So
Yeah.
let's call it $50,000.
Yeah. It was.
So, huh?
It was.
What was the name of that road, Michelle?
Hidden Canyon, right?
Yeah, Hidden Canyon.
Hidden Canyon. Yeah. So yeah, we went in, and so here's the Casey Samson from 2017. I'm not going to tell them I got to paint all that wallpaper and get it down. I'm not going to say any of that stuff. I'm not going to say any of that. But after Morgan pushed and kicked, and Billy pushed and kicked, and Kelly's pushed and kicked, and Colby's pushed and kicked enough, I walked right in and said, that wallpaper's got to go. That wasn't Casey Samson talking. That was the posse talking.
Right.
And I just said, look, it's real simple. I'm telling you, I mean, I see this every day because it's been proven and proven and proven. So yeah. So we walked in and said, you know, it's a great house. Everything's good, but wallpaper's really got to go. We can bring in painters, you have it taped and painted. Seems like a big job, but it's only $3,000, but it's going to return you 20 to 25. And I can tell you it returned them at least 25, if not 50,000 of that was all due to walking in and seeing 2021 when you walked in the door. Then they had the beautiful backyard. They have a beautiful fire pit back there built in. So that is the framed conversation. Now, again, you hear me say rhymes. Let me tell you why I hear you say rhymes. Because when we grew up, the first stuff you learned was from your rhymes, from your nursery rhymes. When you hear something that rhymes, it goes deep in and you keep it with you. So when I'm saying, words tell, pictures sell, that will stay with that seller. That's not going to leave him or them, her. So, it's not bad to come up with a few things that, when you're talking to a seller and you're framing an issue, you're going through things, light is our friend, dark is our enemy. I use almost every time, because it's our enemy. Darkness is bad. Bad photography, dark rooms, that is what we're trying to prevent. All right, so let's go back here and let's go to, and again, all you got to do is do this once. Make sure you take pictures before you do it, and then take your after shots. And that's your before and after. So the pictures are important as well. I compete with one agent, and we relisted a house that she withdrew. So I want you to take a look at the floors and how sharp all this is. This is the picture of the house when she had listed it, right? So again, pictures sell. So our pictures need to be so damn sharp that you want to make sure that you get a good photographer, go to Home Visit, order it. Some are going to be bad, some are going to be good. Go to the home that they're going to shoot and know who that photographer is. And if you get the good one, or you get a good photographer, get his card and keep him. And just have one photographer do all your stuff, or two or three. But make sure they're good. Make sure they use good cameras. Come on. As soon as I say this is what the number 2 agent in Vienna looks like, and that's what we look like, then we're pretty much halfway home. And again, I'm going to give you a secret that why do I go to these unprecedented lengths to make sure that whatever is is perfect and it's always evolving and all this is because, again, I hate to lose. I hate rejection. I can't take rejection. Okay. I had enough of that when I was in high school and trying to find a wife. Rejection. I don't like rejection. Okay. So, I try and make sure I'm not a good salesman. I'm not a good salesperson. People go, oh, you're a good sales. I'm not a good salesperson. I have the deck stacked. If you give so many goods and services and everything is done so well that there's no way they can say no, that's not good salesmanship. That's just framing each issue and making sure that you've cleared it up as you walk through. So preparing the home, now we've fixed the home and we've painted the home and now it looks good. Now we've taken pictures of the home with a good photographer, always professional photographer. Now, how are we going to display it? Now, at this point, we're going to separate from Samson Properties, but I'm going to give you an out here. So what I want to do is create a website. I created a website for every house. I mean, I do a lot of bigger houses and I needed to, so I looked and saw who did the big houses in Hollywood at 20 million, $40 million, and saw the company Agent Image and said, Agent Image, create a website for me. I want every house to look just like their houses. I need a template and blah, blah, blah. So I did create this, but I know every agent can't do that. But if you look on the top here, KV Core at Cardinal Nest, KV Core at cardinalnest.net, okay? Samson Properties is providing you with tools that you can do this and you don't have to go to Agent Image, okay? Lori O'Day, which is Lori at samsonproperties.net. She gives classes, she gives tutoring. They do have property websites. I can't talk to them because I don't do them, but this is kind of, I'm going to give you a template you can look at, and this is what you can try and replicate with that. Again, if preparing the home is important, how we present the home to the clients is everything, because we all have to say it. We know they're going to first see your home online. So this has got to be important. So let me just, I think I got to click out of this. I'll go to Verna. All right. So each house is going to have a website.
Case.
Yeah, bud.
You got a couple questions, and I don't want to sidetrack you here because
Okay.
it's a big piece of our presentation. But just so everyone knows, on paint colors, I've got a couple questions on paint colors.
Okay.
We use on the Benjamin Moore, we use Revere Pewter, which is the darker, richer grayish. Edgecomb gray is the lighter version. So in darker rooms, you want to use Edgecomb, which is a lighter grayish. In the darker rooms and in the side rooms, a dining room or a living room, you can use Revere Pewter, and that's the darker version of Edgecomb. So that's the Benjamin Moore family. On the Sherwin-Williams side, we use Agreeable Gray. That's the grayish, which is essentially almost the exact same thing as Revere Pewter. That is called a grayish, and it's warmer. And Repost Gray, if you want to, if your home is set up more modern and you want to go with more of a gray than a grayish, Repost Gray is the color that we use from Sherwin-Williams. And Repost Gray and Agreeable Gray are the two most popular grays from Sherwin-Williams. So we just use what everyone else is using. We're not reinventing the wheel. We know what people are buying. If you watch HGTV, all of them are using Agreeable Gray and Repost Gray. So, and then also on our contractor list, we have a couple contractors that we hold tight to our chest. But Jimmy Mulhern works with us. He has a group of contractors for flooring, painting, electricians, plumbers, everything like that. So Jimmy Mulhern, he works with us a lot. He's a great guy. He's a Samson agent, but he also is a rehabber. He's a contractor. So if you need anything from Jimmy, his information is on the card.
So we usually look at this and look at the degree of work that needs to be done on a house. And if it's 3 to 5,000, 3 to 10,000, the sellers usually do it. We just had one he finished up, Billy, 35 or 40,000. That's when you would bring in Jimmy. Jimmy gets paid at settlement, by the way. So, it's nice to bring in somebody, fix the house up. It really needs a lot of work. And, 3 levels. 1, you need a little bit of work. 2, you need a lot of work. Call Jimmy. And 3, if it's too far gone, you just sell it to a builder. So, but that's good. Thanks, Billy. And one thing I want to remind people about the paint is too. So Billy's using the word grayish, and grayish is a combination of beige and gray, and works well if some of the house is already going to be left in beige. So the two of them work very well together. Repost is gray, gray, not meant to mix in with the grayish or with the beige. It's a gray. So if you have a modern house, you're doing the whole thing, repost is great and fine. I do think that #1 color of all time is Revere Pewter. And I had a lady come to our house and she had 3,000 swatches of paint. And I really needed some help on figuring out what paint this would be. And her conclusion was Revere Pewter. She had 3,000 things, 2 big, huge suitcases. She comes walking in and goes, yeah, I think Revere Pewter ought to be good. Thanks. So anyways, that's kind of what we stick with. Now, I'm going to tell you this, that I do think people are getting gray caught in their throat a little bit. I think that maybe too much gray. So I think in 2021, only my opinion, but I think green is the new gray. I think you're going to see some greens coming into the living room, dining room. And I think colors like Oyster Bay is a lighter green. Pearl is a darker green. So Pearl, if you have plenty of light, Oyster Bay if you don't. But most living rooms and dining rooms have plenty of light. They're front of the house kind of rooms. So it's not bad to look at that Revere Pewter hallways or Edgecombe hallways and then see some nice complementary green rooms on either side that are today's current colors. Those are the most popular colors that they have. So just my opinion, but it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. So anyways, don't be a 60s lunkhead and just say, yeah, this looks fine to me. You've got to set this up for your buyers. All right, so let's look at this on a website that we would have, and each home has this website. And again, words don't sell a house, pictures sell the house, right? Why? Because pictures get into your emotion. The words feed your brain, but the pictures feed your heart. So you can see yourself living in homes like this. You can picture yourself living in this condition. You can fall in love with a picture. You can't fall in love with words. So we really need to make sure that when you go online, hey, for people that invest a lot of money in their house, they put this in, they invested that, and this is where that's for. But they're not going to fall in love with this. This is just to kind of help make decisions. They're going to fall in love with that, or they're going to fall in love with that. Okay, so I would tell everybody you need to go reach out to Lori, reach out to KV Core. Again, I don't care how old you are or how much business you do, 15% of your time should be spent on education. So I get a lot of my stuff from Masterclass on masterclass.com. I think some of those people in there, Daniel Pine or whatever his name is awesome. And Chris Voss is phenomenal. But a lot of stuff you see here is from classes I get and things I pick up and learn from my agents. So constantly be trying to update yourself, figure out what KV Core, how can you get your people the more services you can offer, the less chance they have of saying, hey, I'm going to go with agent B. Okay. So again, I mean, come on now, who's not going to fall in love with this? Who doesn't see themselves out back here having a party with their family and friends, So anyways, that's the way we do it. Let me get back to this. And I think as far as this segment of Masterclass is concerned, that's about it. That's 45 minutes. But I will tell you that it is a critical lesson that I've learned in the past 3 or 4 years that we really probably fix up 70% of our houses now. I mean, rarely do we walk in and say, this house in perfect condition. Somebody put a sign in the front yard. Now, once we have taught them about selling in the first 10 days, priced the home correctly, taught them how to move up and down the scale, preparing the home, getting them to do what we know is best and is in their best interest, both emotionally and financially. Why emotionally? Have you ever sat with a person whose house has been on the market for 120 to 150 days? Have you ever felt their pain or how their home is rejected and they really just can't take it anymore? They don't know what's wrong. They can't believe it. Okay. So that is 120 to 150 days of agony. The average time for a home on the market in Vienna over $1 million is 114 days. Now, when a buyer finally comes, you have one buyer, and what are they going to do? They're going to get you on the price, right? They're coming in low price. You're going to say, look, I got to sell this house. Don't take the offer. The records on Smart Charts say that you're going to lose, 10, 15%. Then you get a home inspection. Then to add insult to injury, you have 80 items on a home inspection. You ever sat emotionally with somebody through that? Where they're finally like, I'm such an emotional wreck at this point, it's pathetic. What we need to do as realtors, as Samson Properties realtors, is we need to save the sellers emotionally. We need to save them from going through that frustration and that torture that they go through. So we have a passion that I know that if I don't do this right and I don't get you to list with us and you list with another competitor and they talk you into a higher price and you're sitting around for 120 days, 180 days, I know what's going to happen to you. I know how the movie ends. So we try and do everything in our power to make sure that the people list with us so they're in good hands and they get the property sold correctly, as you should. When you go into a listing, you're the best person that can list this house because you've done your homework and you know what you're doing, okay? So the next class that we're going to have will be on the predictive analysis. Now, once we've got everything prepared, we've prepared the home, prepared the website, prepared MLS, we got all our pictures in, we've done our job, right? We launched the listing in coming soon. And when we launch the listing in coming soon, now we can see who's looking at it. How big is the buyer pool? How many people favor it? How many people love it, like it? How many people shared it? How many people are calling you to try and get in that house to see that house before it launches? How many times, how many showings requests do you have to show that house on Friday morning the first time it's available? All this data that we have. We're going to launch a house tomorrow on Palace Green. We put it on a 1.399. That is kind of where the seller wanted to be and where we thought we would test. And we put it on for 1.399. And we really didn't get the buyer pool that we thought we were going to get. We didn't get a lot of favorites and loves and all that stuff. It's an incredible house. When somebody walks in the door, they're going to buy that house. At 1.35, so we saw it. I said, okay, I think what we need to do is let's go to the next buyer pool. Let's go to 1.35. We'll launch at 1.35 and let's see where we go. Now, had I left the house on the market for 1.399, right? We would have possibly sat. Before you know it, we're dropping our price. The value's going down and we're on a downward slope. We don't want that. I need to know up front, is somebody going to buy this house? That is called a predictive analysis. That's next week's show. Okay? All right, guys. So next week we'll talk about that. Now, again, I still have to call for the 5th show. I want to get Daliera on, and I want to get Jason on, and I want to talk about game-changing stuff for buyers. This is the game changers for the sellers. I want to talk about game changers for the buyers. Jason is a beast. I mean, his volume is so high that I've got to get him on so he can start talking about what he's doing and what the rest of Samson agents can do to increase their business like he's doing. Once you find a rabbit, you got to find out what that rabbit's doing and try and hopefully, without killing his competitive edge, tell them what they can do to increase their business. Daliera, I think she's got 3 kids. She might have 4 kids. She's got more energy than any one of us. I don't know what she eats, but I got to eat what she's eating because she's got a ton of energy and she does a ton of business. Again, 3 or 4 kids. So, and her family comes first. So I would like to get them on and have a quorum with them on the 5th class. Okay. But we'll see you next Thursday. Any questions out there, Billy? Are we good?
I think I'm just going through. Yeah, I think I've answered most of them. No, yeah, I think we're all good to go. One thing that I'll just say is you should go on Cardinal Nest and watch that Samson Family Feud. It's pretty funny with Danny and Donnie. Mike Briggs is on there. Lubes is on there. It's a pretty funny show. So if you haven't seen that already, get on there and watch it. Casey, we need to get on there next week and play Danny and Donnie and them and Bobby, because
not with Bobby. Bobby tears you apart, man. Bobby's vicious. All right, guys. So we'll see you next Thursday. My name is Casey Samson. You can catch me at casey@caseysamson.com. 703-508-2535. Again, my team, we don't really bring on team members, but we do partner up with agents to do transactions. So if you have a transaction that you need some help with, you can either partner with us or just refer it to us and for a referral fee. But if you need us, you can call me at 703-508-2535. Billy Samson or any one of my agents that you see on our team, you can contact them and talk to them as well if you have any questions. We'll see you next Thursday at 2:00. Bye all.
See ya.